is that this session is really only for fit members, where I'm more or less available for questions, from background questions or anything I can help you with. So I'm more than happy to assist you in all your questions and so on. Um, who can I ask first? Okay. George, do you have any particular question or just?
You're looking for questions about coaching online?
Well, I mean, this session, I don't know how it was communicated to you. And I mean, the previous session, I was more or less talking, and this session was actually for all the people from the field who were VIP members in this way. And they have projects or they have anything else. And I'm more than happy to think with you to solve something, to give some ideas. And so this session was more or less a giving session, so to say. So I help you with some questions you're maybe facing in the market in ways of digitalization on learning, on experience on learning, and
Yeah, I think from many of the sessions I've attended so far, some of the biggest surprises for me have come from the technology side. Just the way people are approaching similar problems in different manners. I just saw for the first time a product called Chesslang, and I was really impressed with it. And I was just startled. It was like I tried to keep abreast of what's going on, and I actually think I missed something. I missed a product that is really quite interesting. So it's just showing me that even by spending time trying to keep abreast of everything, it's really hard to keep abreast of everything. You know, and this conference has shown me that it's a great idea, and you can learn a lot in just a few hours. So I also noted that everyone seems to be struggling with how to coach during the pandemic, converting their business models from the old style of in-person class to all this online stuff now. We're all facing these challenges of which tools to use, how to keep the students actively engaged without having them do too much online, because the students get tired. There's some of them are in virtual classrooms, then they want to get chess. It's just such an interesting range of problems that we're dealing with, and I'm just curious about how you see the landscape. And what do you think will happen when to all this online stuff once the pandemic clears, assuming it does?
Well, I think this is a very broad question, and I think it's a very fair and good question. Let me go through three things you said. One is I would say let's start from zoom out from the big picture, so to say. When the pandemic started, the first thing we were kind of surviving. So more or less in 2 weeks, I went from completely offline to completely online. And I have to say that most of my students were quite willing to make this step with me, especially in the beginning. So that went quite fast and quite good. Of course, it was a bit challenging, but I think that we could make that step pretty fair. Now it's kind of interesting also that you see that the technology is developing in a good way. I was really looking to Chesslang. I see also the way how they develop very rapidly and very good in a good way. I think that there are still some challenges to come, but definitely that's something I think it's interesting. When it also came to me for this year, because I was rethinking actually this summer how to approach this year, and for myself as a trainer, I just decided I will go digital this year. For two reasons. One is just I feel that the modern coach need to be able to give online classes in an entertaining way. If you can't do it, I think we will have some long-term problems, um, because it will be more and more digital. If I look to my nephews, and uh, yeah, they are very small still, but if I see how much they use and embrace technology, I think it will just be, yeah, it will, I will not say overtake completely, but it will be a very big part. So I think that's some message to every trainer nowadays, is that they should be aware that this will be some part. Another thing is just very simple. Also, in these times, you see with lockdowns and everything, sometimes the market local is quite small, and if you have the wall to your possibility to give lessons to, also financially, it's much more easy to yeah, to do it, and to provide yourself in good position. So that's another point to keep in mind. Um, yeah, so but I think that our main challenge is how we can keep it entertaining, and to provide them from the vital skills to become a good chess player. Because although I'm very happy with a lot of things, which I was already pointing out in my previous webinar, about the advantage of online learning, more automatization, more ways to have interactive working methods, and everything. Also, they are playing more, you record, so you get better feedback from what they are playing. Still, sitting behind the board, overthinking, not reacting in impulsive way, all these things will only, how to say, develop in a bad way. The guessing, the gambling. Um, and I think that that's something we really have to keep in mind. That's definitely, we have to find solutions for it. Some software is already supporting this point by punishing students for making guessing moves. Um, but yeah, I think. I mean, you saw it also with the chess lag, for those who were witnessing. You get 1 minus point for every attempt. Okay, that could be, but I mean, most students will say, well, 8 points is not that bad at all. But in chess, it is, because in chess we only care about 10 actually, because that's the way how our approach is, at least for the better players. And of course, you can say, well, we're providing our lessons for a lot of students. We also want to, how to say, that everybody get acquainted with chess. But we have also some serious tasks to provide some good chess players. And for those, yeah, I think that.
Hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, he will. I think he will come back. Yeah, hope so.
Was his image frozen to you? Because he was
Yeah,
frozen to me.
it was
Yeah.
frozen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was frozen. I'm like, who's talking? I don't see his mouth moving.
Right.
Yeah, and by the way, very interesting what he explained. So
Yeah. Where are you from? Where is Bischweiler Chess?
close to Strasbourg,
Okay.
close to Germany. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is my club in France. I also play for a German team, or even for a team in Switzerland. But I'm training some groups of young players for my chess club. And
Yeah.
what about you?
Carmen and I are both from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, okay.
We work for an organization called Chess Institute of Canada, and we teach in the schools, and also we've now had to move online, like everyone.
Yeah, like everyone. Yeah. Sure. For the second time, first confinement, second confinement. Oh, in France, at least. I don't know.
Yeah.
How is it in other countries?
So I think this is one of the challenges of online learning the technical aspects. So if this happens, you're not keeping your class engaged, of course, and minimizing the technical difficulties is so important.
Yeah.
So George, I'm thinking maybe I should hop off and check out another course just to maximize our time, if you're okay with that.
Etienne, do they have so you're actually in France now or not?
I am in France. I am in Strasbourg at home.
So okay, so in France, do you have chess as part of the school curriculums for elementary?
Oh, yes, there were some parts, and the president of my chess club is how to say, retired, but very active in schools. He was going giving some chess in schools. In fact, he did it a lot of times before, and this is the way he could bring some young players in the club. Our chess club, there are a lot of young players. Yeah, but now there's not anymore this chess initiation in schools, unfortunately.
Right.
So, Jop is back again.
Sorry. Again, my screen was frozen and I couldn't do anything anymore.
But we could listen to you. We could listen to you.
Yeah, okay, that's very good. So the last point I was making is that yeah, so from a broader view, I think that in the digital time, we have to, so to say, we have to prepare ourselves for the next 10, 20 years. I think chess players are always looking forward. I mean, that's the one thing. And I think digitalization is definitely a blessing for the chess world. We can do so many things more. Also the continuation in the way how we teach, but we have to be very careful about all the bad habits we are creating with digital guessing and gambling. And I think that's one of, that's so to say the summary of my previous points. I wanted to give you a little bit maybe back because I thought quite some things, and George, so maybe you can respond on it, or anybody else who.
No, I think what you said made a lot of sense to me. It's good to get perspectives from different people in different countries. That's what I'm finding. It's because although we have the same problems, sometimes we approach them differently. We're dealing with different chess federations and different school systems, and the rules are different. And I mean, I'm just like, are all the children in your area, are they all, like, how many of them are in virtual classes? How many are actually in schools right now?
Well, I have to be honest, there's just I have a wide how to say group of students from adults to children from all ages and from all levels. In the chess club, we are facing that those children are more or less enjoying chess, so they don't have any particular how to say chess career in front of them, but they just want to enjoy it. And for this group, online classes is really challenging. And one of the things, therefore, I hope really the ChessLang or something similar will solve it, is the way that we can let them play more. Mini games is one of the things already. More websites are doing it. That's something good. Chess Plus has some Arcore Anchor, or what was it?
Acorn.
Acorn was one of them. I think might be useful. But I think that mainly if we want to get, how to say, if we want to make use of this Queen's Gambit vibe and everything, we really need to get websites like chess.com and everything. They need to adopt this kind of thing much more, because in some way, I don't want to be critical, but in some way I feel that those commercial websites, they are letting us a little bit in the dry. I think chess.com has so much money. Why they are not providing, let's say, the chess world with the things we need for, how to say, to embrace. And I think in the end, it will also be commercial interesting for them. But I feel that there's, how to say, they could do us such a big favor as a chess trainer on all levels. I mean, I think that the better chess trainers, they will always find ways to train and so on, and they will figure out a way to manage it. But I was doing the ECU 101 course also, and we had many trainers who were just in the beginning of their career and everything, and they need support, digital support, by making things easier. And one of the things is playing exercise, mini games. Those things need to be, how to say, put into software which are just child friendly, like chess kits. And that's in general, I like chess kits as in, how to say, how it's child oriented. I mean, I don't like it that much on of the content point of view, so to say. And I still feel that the biggest match between the right content with the right usability, I still hope in the coming years we will get there.
I have a question for you about these courses. You mentioned the ECU courses.
Yeah.
Here in Canada, we have no such standard. Nobody is getting trained on the ECU courses. Do you think it would make sense for chess instructors in Canada to take those courses?
I think that that's a good start. I mean, there are several programs on it. I think it's I mean, there's the general course, which is very good to, how to say, as the best introduction in getting things. After there are specific courses, and I'm giving something like the step methods as well, and that's also something you can keep in mind. So it's yeah. So that's definitely, in my opinion, this is definitely something very good, and it will make it easier to understand how to start your chess lessons, how to construct a chess lesson, and how to build them. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe,
But sorry, but feel free just to email me or the organization, and then we will see for the several courses we are offering and how we can help you make things happen for Canada. Yeah.
so just
Okay.
now, Jop, if I well understand till now, so you are a professional coach, you are coaching a lot of people, young people, adults, and so on. So I used to be very active during 10 years, but now I stopped because I'm doing completely other things. So, but still I'm in the teaching with adults for computer using some softwares, and we are using an e-learning platform, very well developed. I mean, when you put the people on, they can use it, and you can make a program for them, and then the idea is they are on their own. I mean, just to have, you have to meet them to give the motivation, the necessary motivation. And I think this is the main drawback of digital learning. It's to be in front of a screen, very difficult to motivate some people. But then now I understand that till now you didn't find a platform which offer a very simple service for a chess coach or chess teacher. That's what you said.
True. Yeah, true. So that's one of the things. I think that also what is very important is, and I even notice it myself, it's just very difficult to look to the screen and feel the same thing. Because if you make a move with your mouse, it takes within 1 second. And normally our impulse, how to say, restriction or constraint is happening afterwards. If you make a move and you want to grab a piece, then while you're grabbing the piece, somehow you feel that something is happening, because this is happening in the brain, at least to most of the players. So there's a little bit of hesitant thing when we are making moves. And with a mouse click, it's just your habit with working. If you open an email, you click the mouse. There are so many other things you do with the mouse, which is not chess related. So, but making a chess move is chess related. So it means, so the brain, how to say, controls and keep you in how to say, to prevent you from making mistakes. And I think one of the things is that this impulse control is one of the things we need to learn. Beside the board, you can do a lot of things digital, but this is one of the things you can't learn. And I would say that even digitalization has a bad influence on it. And there are now some kind of interesting researchers also about all the impact on all the e-learning and everything. As I said, I mean, when it comes to automatization and everything, digital is perfect. But in the brain, a lot of connections are not made because we are making them with our senses, by even the smelling, by seeing, feeling, and everything. And all these things you miss with digitalization, especially when you're even not participating, so to say. Very often lessons are the teachers in front talking and the rest is listening. Then you only apply even one thing. And I think learning means you try to embrace the full surrounding, and that's
Okay, just one
sure.
point, because what I'm doing now is just some group coaching. So in fact, because I have no time to how to say to coach one student or one at a time. So in groups, what I find very adapted is guessing move games.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for guessing room, once I try, I say, okay, we are going to do this with Zoom. I'm going to give you the moves on the board, but if you like, you can reproduce on your own board.
Exactly.
Because the game is beginning up, is going from the beginning. So, and you know something very funny is with Zoom, you can share a second camera. So meaning if you share a second camera, you can put your second camera on the board and you can move the pieces. I don't know. It's just.
I think in general this is a very good idea. In general, really, I mean, I advise even students. I mean, I always say that you need to, how to say, well, give notice that you're using a chessboard. But even if you're playing online, I think that they can use an offline board. But you have to announce it because, of course, in some way you can see it as cheating, and which is another difficulty, so to say. But I mean, from training purpose, to play offline, to play with pieces again, is something so essential for connecting to the chess pieces, to connect to the chessboard. So I think it's a very good idea from you to use the offline board. I think it's not, I think the second camera, I would say that it's possible, but I already have difficulties to get one camera. So it's, I mean, so I'm more than happy if I can provide two when they have this luxury and everything. But what I find very important is that you use the group dynamism. So as I mentioned in the previous session, you were there also when I give the one task to one student and that student gives it to another one. So it means that they always need to be aware. I also have quite strict rules when it comes to phones, to other distractions and everything, because I think when you really want to be productive and everything, you need to be very strict with this. Not to be strict, but just to, well, I mean, it's just digital demands it. Also, what I do is that I really change quite a lot in working forms. So every 10 minutes, I have a different room or different setting, and the students can, how to say, take a break, kind of. Because if I put them in breakout rooms, it means at that moment, they, how to say, they can relax a little bit, maybe change positions and everything. So it's, I always try to break the lessons also in this way. To get
short period, you mean?
Yeah. Short periods, but what is very important, what you also mentioned, is that try guessing games is, of course, in one way it's good for the entertaining part, but it's not good to learn the real chess skills, and that's learning for a long way, learn to calculate till the end, and all those skills. So it's always important to understand which skills you want to develop when. And I feel that all the performance skills, how to say, they can be done very good digital, but all the long-term skills, so to say, the slow thing, the long thinking, the tough part, so to say, you need to learn them offline. So normally I give tasks to them, which they need to solve offline after lessons. Because I want them, because as a chess player, you need to be balanced. You need to learn everything.
Do you have a sample of what you give?
Chess position. I give all kinds the same as you. I give chess positions, but then they need to give me the full calculation. So I use the more entertaining way, how you say it, with guessing and everything in lessons online. But I give them also the way that they have to write out all the variations in full. when they're offline between the lessons.
Okay.
Because I want them to learn both ways, because I want them to be skilled, not after 1 year that they think, okay, how should I play over the board? Because I haven't done it for 1 year. I mean, let's be honest, we don't know when, okay, we know the vaccine is coming, but we don't know when the tournaments were coming again.
Yeah.
This is something, because people, okay, we're not dying anymore, fortunately, but we still can get the virus. I mean, the vaccine is not preventing it.
It's not finished. We don't know. Now uncertainty is part of the world.
Exactly. So I wanted to not, I don't want to wait for the moment that we can organize tournaments again, and then the players are starting to think about playing chess over the board again, because then we lost kind of 1.5 year or maybe 1 year about having those skills over the board. I mean, so it's so I want them to practice all the time both skills. Yeah.
I have a question for you concerning how much chess do you think makes sense for most kids? Like how many hours a week, 1 time a week, more than 1 time a week? What do you think works best?
I think that, well, they're how to say, in the first place, I always think the child decides. I have children who work all day and they can do 2 hours of chess a day. Well, fantastic. But let's be honest, that's that's just a very minority, but it's good. I would say that already maybe something like 4 days a week, half an hour or 20 minutes, I would already be very glad when many students are spending this kind of time to it. And I can, and there are kind of a lot of materials. Chess Kids has some material, Chessity has some, Chess Tutor has a lot of, how to say, individual methods which you can use and they can work on their own because they get feedback. I still like Chess Tutor quite a lot because it's still based on the step method and it's fully integrated in the biggest system, which I also provide in my own lessons. And because in the end, it records all the results they are making and I can check them. Like also with ChessLang, but the difference is this is already finished. So it means you can just buy it and it's 20 euros and that's it. I mean, so you don't have to prepare anything as a teacher anymore. So that's, I would say that definitely for the beginning teacher, that's something you get 6,000 exercises, playing exercises and everything, which I think is good value for money.
But
so, sorry?
The step method is something fantastic, which is developed, and especially it was developed with the Chess Tutor software.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. And this is the good thing, because what I do very often is that I try to explain the topics with the questions and everything in my lessons. And then I give them the tutor, or depends if they like the more the digital version or more the paper version, to work on them. If they're small kids, they can come over at my home. I give them always in paper because I feel for children it's much better to be offline as much as possible and to connect to the chess. But if they are more far away and I still need to check them, I have one student in Spain. Well, okay, I can't check them over paper. So then the chess tutor is a very good thing.
So what you're talking about then is you're talking about asynchronous learning, where the student learns offline and you monitor their progress and then you come back to them in the virtual room.
Yeah.
And do you, when you come back to them, do you discuss what's happened with their work offline, or do you?
This is the most important part. If you don't do it, then most of the learning part will be lost. Yeah, exactly. Very good. So yeah, so what I do is that we have the online lessons. I try to motivate them as for the big part, so they can make the hours during the week. Because most of my students, I see them once a week, an hour or something like this. Then I give them either some task or I let them work with the chess tutor, and also 50% of the time they have to play games. And this is something always trainers forget very often, because playing is very important to get all the knowledge from the brain to, how to say, obtainable knowledge. You need to be able to perform. Otherwise, it's just a big part of knowledge in your head, and this is not something good. So yeah, definitely I would, and of course in the feedback, I'm saying, okay, last week we had this kind of questions, or how would you approach this position? And if they start differently than the questions, then I come back and I said, okay, first look at this one, then look at that one, and so on and so on. And in this way, I always come back to the same kind of set of questions, how we can break big blocks of knowledge down to something they can obtain. And yeah.
Okay.
Can you keep the motivation for the now? How can you do that? Because this is the, I mean, this is the problem with the online teaching.
It is.
This and.
But I have to say, this is not only with online training. This is always one of our biggest challenges, so to say. I think that what I try to do is to give them always small tasks. I always say that from every game, you take 2 points which are good, 2 points which you want to improve. And I try mostly to connect them. And they need to be very concrete, so that you need to be able to say yes or no to them. So for example, did you bring your king in safety in the opening? Did you put your pawns in the center? Did you develop all your pieces within, let's say, 80 moves or something like this? So I make them very concrete. Did you activate your king in the end game? Something, you know, just something very simple, and it's very easy to say next game if you did it or not. And from this one, I say, okay, next game, you give yourself feedback. And then we play next game, and then we play next game. And every game you just, so to say, you bring your questions with you, your focus, attention, and in this way you go on. If you feel that at some point you know where to focus on, but you cannot do it because it's tough or something, okay, make some exercises to it. Then we have the chess tutor, the books, and other materials to work on them. And in my opinion, that's the way of thinking on development, which, in my opinion, all my students love, just to go through. They are small. They are, how to say, they understand how to make progress. And it's also very important they cannot fail, because very often the training or something, people or parents look very often to the results. And in this way, you always know that result will always be, how to say, yeah, it will be a result of all your process thinking and your focus thinking. So I think that's a much more pleasant way. And I think in general, if it, I think that's a very nice way to develop it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sophia, you had maybe some question too. You just joined us. Welcome.
I was coming from the women's thing.
Yeah.
I wear many hats, but I teach full time in a pre-K through 12, and I'm teaching and we have curriculum for this year, which is slightly different, pre-K, and that's a new adventure for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing hybrid, in-person, and distant, so the whole thing, and using many platforms, and I've learned a lot of things from this conference over the last 5 or 6 years that I sort of already implemented, but what they've done is enhance them every time I come to this conference. So you, in this room, you were talking about, I think, are you the main person that was talking about how educators can be better online?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I normally talk from two sides, either from the teacher side or from the student side, so to say. Yeah. Right.
Well, one thing, if you're teaching completely with very young children right now online, I really think it's still essential to have that tactile, that area that I really enhance in my pre-K and my K classes is, using big pieces, moving them around. And even if you're online, you have to make sure that the student has a regular chess set at home, and that at some point that they actually use it in front of you. And that is kind of very hard to navigate. Yeah. And to be able to do that and express when the parent sees it, they're exploring learning and being able to do that. And there are so many great things you can do, but that is sort of, for me, it hasn't been a struggle, but it's been what I call a new adventure to have those happening at the same time. Yeah. And how to use my 45 minutes. So
true. No, it's a very good point. Actually, with Etienne, we spoke before about using chessboard even for better players, but I think that is maybe even more vital for smaller children, because their chessboard is huge. I mean, it's well, one of the interesting things is what I don't know if you have seen it. We are in Holland. We are working also with four square boards. Have you seen them or not?
Yeah, I've seen them. I mean, there's the 3x3.
Can I just? I can quickly show you. Just
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So it's I will just take some of them, and one of them things is what I'm showing is just we fabricated also 4x4 chessboard. Of course, you can do it on a normal board as well. The good thing about it didactically is that there's no less distraction. So if I put this small one, and if you look to the visual side of most of the students, especially in the beginning and children, is 4x4 is already kind of maximum what they can reach, so to say.
Right, it's their board vision. Just to give one thing, I've actually been teaching chess in the curriculum for 30 years and knew nothing when I came in, absolutely zero. And, you know, each child in your group can maybe only see 30%, 50%. The stronger player can see obviously much, you know, much faster. And that's when you're doing that and you're assessing. But having mini boards for those who are struggling with some movements, and there's a great book written by Ryan Velez, you might have heard it, called The Struggles. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it took, and it really will help teachers, and especially that you should use, you know, mini games. You should use whatever it takes to enhance them. And can I see yours again? Because it actually looked very simple, which is perfect. And it had no, what I call extra stuff. Because sometimes you don't need tremendous amount of stuff. You just need what you can relate so that they can get the concept and the idea and feel confident in.
Exactly. And just to show you, we have different kind of pieces in all kinds of colors. So that's also something you can use. And very often I use this kind of coins or whatever you can use, and I give them value to 1, 2, or 3 points. And what I do is I make this 4x4 square board full of coins. Then I put pieces and then I let them fight. So first they can choose whatever piece. Of course, always they take first the queen, and then we go around. Then they take king, then rook, and then we play sometimes rook against king or rook against bishop, and they try to win. And then and the good thing about it is that in the beginning, it's not about playing chess, it's more about getting acquainted with the movements of the pieces. And especially in the beginning, this is the most important and vital part. And I noticed that very often we go to this full board and everything, and it's completely scary for them. I mean, it's just,
Sophia, can I ask you, with the younger kids, how often you might do things like use stories or parables or things like that to sort of get your point across?
Well, you use, in general, educators, and this is, use stories to create comfort. And I do use some stories. I use a lot of history with chess too. How they got their names, why they got their names, you know, what the word pawn means, the different languages involved. This is more for first grade and second grade, culture, history, you know. And I have a chess lab, and Miss Rhodes, that's my favorite pieces of all time are these pieces. So I do one unit on the Lewis pieces. We look at the history behind the Lewis pieces, the mystery, the connection of how everybody's used them over the years. And kids love that, you know. And they understand of how chess has always been there over the years. So stories, I think, are very important too. In March is Women's Month, and I do a huge component sort of all the time of, you know, women chess players. And each year I pick a different one. And we learn about that person's life, their games. So, and I use them for different, because I'll have different players in my room. I don't have all what you call 99 percentiles. I'll have from 50 to 99. So balancing that group. The thing that I'm very spoiled at is, you know, I might only have 12 in a classroom when some of you have 25 in a classroom. So it's that those bigger numbers are much harder to deal with, such as, do you teach in the curriculum or do you teach in the after school, or do you teach in the mornings?
Sorry, just
yeah. I mean, in New York, a lot of people think there's a lot of chess in schools, but there is, but it comes in different formats. It can either be in after school, it can be in the morning, it can be, we have a few programs that have it in the day, but it's not as many as you think. So that's the interesting part. I wish it was more in the classroom, but sometimes you can't get there. So you have to find the other avenues. I'm lucky that I have, right now I had to give up my classroom because of COVID, because of the amount of kids that are allowed to be in a room. But I have enough space for like 20 kids. I can split the room. I can have 2 working classrooms. So my school has given, we're one of their programming. And I think, from that point of view, I'm very, very spoiled. But I do think that stories are huge. Yeah. So where are you from, George?
From Toronto, Toronto, Canada, or Chess Institute of Canada, it's called. But
Okay.
one of the things that we focus on are teaching life skills. We use chess to teach life skills.
Yeah, well, in my middle school, we do something called modules. We did it last year. This year, we couldn't do it. And we would use, and that's for kids, how old are they? 11 to 14. And that's where we really go into heavy life skills. And some of them have already played, but some of them don't really like chess. But by the end of the module, they actually are all playing. And so there is where we really do what we call a life skill component, where it's not about getting better, but it's doing the crossover of consequences, things in your routine, how you get things done, and understanding that. And actually the kids like it a lot. And it's right before their full day of school. It's from like 8:15 to 9.
Yeah.
So
I think in general, this is also a good point. I liked it quite a lot. It was written on the first page of Book of Kasparov about chess and life. And he was saying that one of the things he was learning is that you learn how you take decisions and in which situations or circumstances this is good, and in which circumstances your preference are probably not that good. And maybe they can cause some difficulties for you.
Yes. Sophia, are you familiar with the UNICEF 12 life skills model?
No, but maybe after this, I will definitely look it up because it may be something I can do. There is one thing that I started. I did some programming on 2 things. One was called project-based learning, which is, and this is where chess educators need to know that is very trending right now, like in the US. And I think it was trending what I call in England before that. And project-based learning is perfect for chess, where kids where they work with another school and they teach them how to play, and the kids relate to each other. Do you remember? I think some of you, George, you might remember when you were younger, you had a pen pal. Did you ever have a pen pal, George?
I didn't know.
No.
Yeah.
Etienne, no. I'm really aging myself now, but I used to have I mean,
I was playing even correspondence.
Right, and you would correspond. So I built some programming, and we were at my school, and hopefully we'll do it when I get back, that we're doing it with a school from Cuba, and we're doing it for the whole year, where the kids will have partners, where they teach them how to play chess, they communicate that role. Once a week, they'll get connected in the classroom, see how everybody is doing, and build on those skills, and it lasts for the whole year. And it's not about having a quiz at the end either, but learning about their communities and societies that way. So
yeah. Very nice to hear. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a needy dog.
So are there still any other particular questions or what I showed, or something, other things we can maybe briefly discuss together? Just this nice introduction and feedback from Sophia as well, input.
Yeah, well, I'm like an idea person because I take risks, right?
Yeah.
So, I do chess in the morning. We have a sunrise program. and that lasts from like you're going to be shocked, like 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Every morning, and we even do that online now. It's a little harder when they're sort of back in school, because I can't have chess in that setting right now because I have to be in this pod where, so that's, you know, something that I've had to overcome. But having chess at any point in a school day is key. And that's what my school really believes, that socially and emotionally, that kids look forward to coming to my room and that they can go into my room. And it's like somewhere where they can play, feel comfortable. And my room's kind of got bigger in the high school. It's become the cafeteria. And you'll see that there are chess sets everywhere.
Nice.
And why? Because kids want to play, right? And we're a culture. So I think over my 30 years, I've really understood to embrace that inside our school, we are a culture, we're a community. And that's kind of important if you can get that. So
that's a very good point. Very, and I have to be honest that also when I was on high school, I was playing with my teacher every break, so to say, and then he was bringing some coffee. So for me, that was always very nice to get free coffee and play chess. I mean, why not combine two very nice things?
Well, students in high school have, you know, a lot of stress and pressure, and chess can be very relaxing for them, you know, in the cafeteria sense. And that's what you'll find, even students that I haven't seen for a while, because we have about 1,300 students that are at our school, which is kind of, I don't know if that's big, but it's.
So do you work for one school?
Yep.
Wow. And so you're full-time on staff?
Yep, I have a pension. All right, but I wear many hats. I'm a New York State vice president. I'm also an international arbiter and an international organizer. My boss calls me sometimes the Queen of New York, which can get me into little trouble, but because I try and get chess to spread, and they know that. So they've allowed me to have events at our school that we bring other schools in there, and it's for high school. And they really understand that they need a place to play, and it's free. So that was huge when they were able to do that. And I live in Manhattan, and that is really hard to get rental space, period. So
I had heard of a lady, I can't remember her name now, who taught chess in New York City. And
Elizabeth?
You mean Vickery? She's here today. She teaches in 318, and that is a program which is junior high, which is 6th grade to 8th grade, and it is a compulsory subject for kids that have elected it, and they can have chess. I think they have chess like 2 or 3 times a week in their schedule, and it is what I call a highly competitive program. So mine is a competitive program, a culture program, many, but she does have a highly competitive program if that's their model.
So are you interested in doing any freelance consulting?
Of course. So I mean, yeah, but I'm very open source. I mean, you can ask me anything or what a model should be, but my vision is to make and I still feel that my model keeps changing, because there's more things that you can do and add. And so the list will keep on growing, which is a good thing because it keeps you fresh. And you do need to know that probably your idea in doing something is correct. Like, I'll give you one thing. Like, I see all these, as an organizer, I'm putting my organizer hat on, like how to get more girls in your program, right? Well, if you have it in the curriculum, you're definitely going to be able to expose them. And having a woman role model as a coach really does help in getting them to compete, if that's what you're looking for. But I guess so. But there were, I'm trying to think. I've lost my train of thought. I'm a little tired because I think you all are, right? During the pandemic, my days seem to be the same. like no days of the week right now.
I have two questions. Do you have any concerns or ideas on how we should train girls differently than boys?
I don't think you have to. I think as a teacher, you just have to be aware of what kind of student you have in the room. I mean, I suggest you go on courses where professional development, and they exist, because I'm about to go on one in February 1st and 2nd, where they're having these big discussions, not just in chess, but in education period, where they're discussing again, and they're coming together of things that they have been doing to cope with this. And that's where project-based learning came in, because in general, girls do not like, doing tests, right? They shy away from that. Well, that's when I'm aging myself now, but
Yeah.
Girls did not perform as well in England on tests. And then they went to project-based learning because they performed better on those and that area. So educate yourself, go to the regular community because they are having these discussions too. I think, if you understand the group of kids you have in the class, what type of learner they are they a tactile learner? Are they a visual learner? And identifying their weaknesses and their strengths, and really knowing your body in the classroom, and that you will get more girls to play, and that you.
Do you, why I'm asking is, I understand that when they're very young, I understand the difference are not so big. There's a huge difference between 12, between 11 and 13, so to say. Because we know, for example, under 12, girls always win, and under 14, they are more or less number 20 on the list. And this is not one time. Judith Polgar, even big players, they all won under 12 year, and after they didn't win the championships anymore. So what we notice is that when we are looking to the championships, girls always win, let's say from 10 to 12. But under 14, none of the girls is managed to win this time. And I think that's something in our learning. But now I'm talking only to.
I think it might be how they're studying. Are they studying anymore? Have they stopped? Right?
No, we are talking about the program, but we are talking about even the best players who don't manage. And in Holland, we had the same. We had always the girls win under 12, and it's not one. I can make a full list of them. If I look to under 14, the same girls in 1 year later, they are number 15 on the list. And this is, this is always in the same kind of years.
Could we have to maybe ask them. I'm going to guess that maybe it could be.
The biological changes, they definitely play a big role. And what I'm kind of interested.
No. I don't know. It's an area where we have to do research, right? So do they just change?
Yeah. No, I know that I was just curious if you had. I read quite some things about it. And one of the things is one of the studies more or less say that most likely with girls, everything what you want to learn in structure, you have to do it before 12. And with guys, it's different.
It is. I have many friends that who are my age that actually took up chess when they were like 15 and 16. I don't ever hear of so many women taking up chess at that age.
No, later on it's a more cultural problem, because then already, as you say, so little girls play that only the girls who get some concrete benefits, like getting to foreign countries tournaments or something or other, they will keep playing, and some girls just love it. But it's very small group, so to say.
I would say that what we should be doing or looking at is looking at a sample size and seeing what they're doing. Are they getting coaching? Have they stopped? Is it biological? Because now they're getting their period. So things become maybe like they don't want to do chess so much.
I think, one of the things what I understood is that really the physical part is really playing a role. They mix up the complete mind, which with boys comes a little bit later again also. Mm-hmm. So it's just, so every youth has the same kind of problem, so to say. They need to restructure themselves, but with women, somehow the impact is bigger for some whatever reason it is. the interesting thing is with this thing is is that everything what you want to learn as an attitude, how to learn openings theory and everything, you have to do it faster with women, with girls, because they can do it simply because they are more adult already in a younger age.
Yeah.
And
See, here's the difference between you and me. I mean, my philosophy, and I like to say every chess coach has their own Bible in how things should be taught, in what order, and what early on in my curriculum, and even into the older area, I don't have what you call solid opening theory until much later.
Yeah, but the point is, I mean, it's not about my theory, your theory. It's just the fact that if we look over the whole chess world, girls are not performing. And one of the reasons why they're not performing is because we treat everybody the same. If you treat the boys in the same way you treat girls, you, how to say, underperform girls. Because that's the whole point why I think girls are lacking under 14. Because we, as you said, we have to learn to look to the style. We have to look to the, how to say, how adult they are. And exactly as you mentioned.
I will tell you this, looking at some data in my community, and my pool is not as good as maybe if you looked at Elizabeth's, because she's got that sort of group, and I don't have what she has, which is you have chess 3 times a week with a competitive group. And it would be interesting to see how well the girls do, because they're constantly doing chess. To be at her sort of school, you're going there because of that factor. But in general, in our scholastics, we have a huge drop off in that area. Doesn't matter, from 12 and to 14 to 16. The girls just stop. And sometimes those sections just,
no, I understand. I mean, I'm very aware of it. And I think that one of the reasons is, and I think that's one of the challenges of the chess world. So once more, it's not about my approach or your approach. It's just the chess world as I see it. I mean, it's just is that we have still the biggest game, because I feel that we are training everybody too much in the same way.
Yeah, maybe. And we do need to look at different ways to train. And, such as...
You could have a, sorry, I think I will go to the next conference, but maybe you can have a look at a book of Maurice Ashley, speaking about teaching chess to girls, a special chapter on it. And what is important is something like, if you are, because I had also in my groups, 2 or 3 girls, because they are happy to be together. This is important point, I think. One of the difference between guys and girls, already I asked one time a question to some competitive chess players, boys and girls. When you say to boys, why do you play chess? The boys say, I want to win. Doesn't matter, I want to win. And the girls, okay, this is generally, of course, you have always exceptions. And the girls say, we are happy to be together also. This is a kind of difference.
It is, and there are many more. And unfortunately, our time is up.